All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at Green Fire Games in Oakland, Illinois, and we've got a treat for you. We have an 8th Revolt pre-release. So we have Amonkhet pre-release. My bad. They both start with A. It's the old set either way. So this is a pre-release pack, and we're gonna look inside, see if we get some good stuff, see if we can put together a half decent deck. So if you didn't get a good look before up there, it's that nice and brick shaped, nice and solid. They're kind of tricky to open, so we will get the plastic. And here we are. Opened up, and now this slides out. You see, look at this. Some nice artwork. So it looks like the cartouches from the set if you've been paying attention. So we'll pop this bad boy open and see what we got. So first off, the promo card. Everyone gets a promo card. We've got Heaven and Earth, or Heaven to Earth. The first side, Heaven, for a green and X, deals X damage to each creature with flying. The second half, Earth, can be cast only from your graveyard as a sorcery. It's for 2 red and X. It deals X damage to each creature without flying. So this is sort of interesting in that in a stalled board situation, it's basically a build your own board wipe if you've got the mana. Or even better, if you're facing a bunch of flyers, you can kill all their stuff with Heaven and just leave Earth in your graveyard for whatever purpose you would like. It's not the best way to open up your packs because for the most part it's 2 colors, and I'm not going to want to play this unless I'm in both green and red, so we'll put that aside for now. The second thing I see in the pack is the spin down dice. It's pretty neat. You have the set symbol and a very nice blue and gold, very, very Egyptian. And then let's see, we've got a nice little splash screen with Amonkhet, the goddess of solidarity, and the 5 trials of the gods. Nice little cutouts. What the payoff is for that, I am not sure, but hopefully it's pretty good. So first pack. Just a second. We might be having some technical difficulty. I've been informed that there are no technical difficulties. We should be good to go, and let's get to the pack opening. First pack, got a nice Sphinx on the pack itself, and let's see what we get. So first off, one of the big things to pay attention to is the rares, because in a lot of cases the rares are going to be the most powerful cards in the pack and will guide you in which way to go. So first off, we've got our token. It gives us a nice punch-out card, so if we're exerting creatures, embalming creatures, or even putting brick counters, -1/-1 counters, we can mark that and have it be very easy to pay attention. First off, basic land, a beautiful mountain with several pyramids, and if you look closely in the background, you will see the monument to Bantu, the black god in the set. And our first rare is Glyph Keeper. For 2 blue and 3 generic mana, we get a 5/3 flyer. And whenever it becomes the target of a spell for the first time each turn, it gets countered. And this also has Embalm for 5 generic and 2 more blue. I think this is a very powerful card. I think this is great. This card is going to be a finisher, and it's going to be really tricky to remove. It can be blocked in combat, but other than that, your opponent's got to have 2 removal spells to remove it. And if they ever manage to make that happen, we can just bring it right back as a zombie Sphinx. So I think this card is great. This is going to be a strong indication that we're potentially going to be in blue moving forward.
And just give us 1 second while I just fix something with the stream, and then we'll be good to go.
All right.
It's the screen going black's not the issue. I didn't take it off autofocus. So
Got it. So to those of us watching at home who have bore with us through this slight technical difficulty, I do apologize. We are hopefully going to get this a little more focused and a little better so that you can actually watch without getting a headache.
There we go.
And we are back. All right, so the second card in the pack. This is Cast Out. So for a 3 and a white, we get an enchantment that can be that with flash, so it means we can cast it like it's an instant, and it's going to exile any non-land permanent an opponent controls. So anything an opponent that really bothers us, it's gonna get rid of, at least until they remove the enchantment. And I think this would be a pretty solid card in limited by itself, but the fact that we can cycle this for a white if we don't need it makes it even better. So like, I'm a big fan of that. I think that's going to be a really powerful card to have in white as well. So that's definitely something that we're pretty happy about. Next is On-Crop Champion. So this for a green, a white, and 2 extra, we're getting a 4/4, which for 4 mana, that's a decent deal if you're in green-white. And the ability says you can exert it as it attacks. For those paying attention at home, exert means when it attacks, it's not going to attack during my next untap step. So usually you're going to get an extra effect, and in return he's going to have to take a turn off to recharge. But when he does, I can tap all other creatures that I control. So I think that's pretty powerful. The way that's so, because if I have a bunch of exert creatures and I exert them all, he's going to untap all of them, which means I can have a second attack next turn that's going to be almost as good, especially with all those effects. And even if I just need to bring them back on defense, I can use this guy, attack, get some damage in, destroy some creatures, and then still be able to block to prevent my opponent from coming back in the other way. Like, I think that's a pretty good card. I'd be pretty happy to play that if I'm in those colors. But unfortunately, it requires you to be in 2 very specific colors to make use of it, because I really don't think I'm going to be splashing colors, at least not yet. The next card we have is Vizier of Remedies. So for 1 and a white, we're going to get a 2/1, and that says if 1 or more -1/-1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many -1/-1 counters -1 are put on instead. Try saying that 5 times fast. So I think this card's solid. I don't think you're going to play in a lot of decks. If you're in a white deck that's putting a lot of -1/-1 counters on your own creatures, you'd consider it. But I think really this is probably going to be a sideboard card if I face an opponent that wants to put -1/-1 counters on all my creatures, because it's really going to help them stay alive and stick around a lot longer. I think it's not a bad card, but again, I think it's only okay. So the next card is Cradle of the Accursed. This is a desert land that taps to add a colorless to my pool, so that's neat, especially because I can pay 3, tap it, and sack it to create a 2/2 black zombie token. Like, this card's probably better than a lot of people think in limited, because it takes place of one of my lands, and I can get a creature out of it. Like, I'm a big fan of this. I'm probably going to play this. I don't know what colors I'm in yet, but again, I think there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to play this.
If you want to just open all of your packs and then go through it as you're building, you could do that too.
Okay.
Just to make sure you have enough time to build your deck.
Yeah, well, okay. Episode Emberhorn Minotaur. So there we go. So that's solid. So it exerts, it gets -1/-1 menace. This is a very good aggressive card. Especially, I don't know if we're going to have the cards for an aggressive deck, but that's fine. Other thing that's interesting is Quarry Hauler. This is neat because I can take counters off my creatures, and it has to attack. Sacred Cat. It's a 1/1 for 1 and lifelink. That also embalms, so that's also neat. And then, sort of going with our theme, we got Shimmer Scaled Drake, a 3/4 for 5 with flying is neat, and I'm a fan of it. But yeah, other than that, I think that's really the interesting cards in this pack. We're going to try to move along because we've used a good chunk of our time, unfortunately. So let's see, what do we have next? So pack 2. And we have New Perspective. So this is an enchantment for 6. When it enters the battlefield, I draw 3 cards, but as long as I have 7 or more cards in hand, I can pay 0 rather than pay cycling costs. I don't know how big of a fan I am of that card. I think it's okay. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's terrible, but unless you find you're having a really heavy cycling deck, I think you're probably going to be better off leaving this one at home. Let's see. Okay, so Horror of the Broken Lands. This card is neat. So if you black, there's definitely a black and discard sub-theme in red, and it turns this thing into a house. And it makes blocking really tough for my opponents if I have cards in hand and mana open, because this is a 4/4 for 5, which you're okay with anyway. But then you attack, you block with your 4/4, I cycle a card, suddenly that you get blown out because that turns into a 6/5. And all late game, this thing, if you don't block it, I can just pump it up several times and just wipe everything, and your opponent will be really upset. So that card's neat. I haven't really seen anything great in black other than that at this point, but we will see how we do. Let's see. Anything else is interesting is Manticore the Gauntlet. So this card for 5/4 for 5. I can put a -1/-1 counter creature I control, and then I deal 3 damage to your opponent. That's some good reach. Red's an aggressive deck, and it doesn't really have a ton of it at this point. It's in the set, so I think that's going to be very powerful if that's what we end up with, but we will see. see. I'm sorting out some of my cards before we move on to our next pack. Let's see. Alright, so we are on to pack 3. So pack 3, let's see what awaits us here. What wonders are inside this pack? Okay. Alright, so our rare in this pack is Temet, Vizier of Nactamon. We've met him in the story. His card's interesting because at the beginning of combat, I can give it a creature token I control +1/+1, and it can't be blocked. So that's gonna be very powerful, especially if you're in a blue-white deck. It's because I think you're naturally gonna have a lot of embalmed creatures bouncing around, and I think that's gonna make that card pretty solid. Whether we're gonna end up in that blue-white deck that's gonna want that, I don't know yet, but we shall see. Let's see. Next we've got a second Cradle of the Accursed. Like I said, I don't know if I want to play more than one, but that card's good. Floodwaters, I think this card's really good. So this for 2 blue and 4 extra mana, you can bounce 2 creatures to your opponent's hands, which is awesome. Bounce effects are very good and limited. Forcing your opponent to take two turns off to replay their best creatures is fantastic. But the reason this card is good is because it's cycling too. So if for example I draw this really early and I need to hit another land drop, I can just cycle this, get a new card, and not feel too broken up about it. So that's pretty good. Similar in effect, a Gale Strike does the same thing. It bounces cards, but this only costs 3, and it only bounces 1. But it also draws me a card anyway, so it's almost got that pseudo cycling effect on there. So again, I think that's really the rest of the interesting cards in that pack. So we'll move on to pack 4. So let's see. We get rid of the lands, and now for a rare, we got Sandworm Convergence. So for 8 total mana, 2 of which is green, so 2 green and 6 generic. It's an enchantment, and it basically says that creatures with flying can't attack me. So if you've sufficiently gummed up the board with all of your big creatures, so your opponent can't really profitably attack on the ground, this makes it so they can't attack in the air. And then on top of it, if you're worried about finishing out the game, each time you add each of your end steps, you get a 5/5 worm. That's pretty powerful. I'm not sure how often you're going to get that far, because if you draw that early, it could just get stuck in your hand and you'll be a little upset, but you'll live with it. Let's see. Let me see, Nest of Scarabs. If you got a lot of -1/-1 counters, you can make a lot of insects and just sort of overrun your opponent that way. Compelling Arguments, Brute Strength. Card. Let's see, what else do we got? There is actually a decent amount of lands. It'd be interesting to think about if there's a potential third color you would want. So the Cartouche of Strength, and this is in green. I think this one's probably the best of the cartouches. So for 2 and a green, you can enchant one of your creatures, give it +1/+1 and trample, and then have it fight a creature an opponent controls. I think that's pretty decent. It will serve as pretty good removal, especially if you compare that with a creature you've just played, so it can't attack anyway. But again, I think it's a solid card, and definitely something that is going to make us be more interested in playing green moving forward. So let's go into the next pack. So we got our first full art land, as you know. As some of you might know, that 1 out of every 4 lands in the set is going to be full art. We pulled one on our 5th pack, so we're right on track. And our rare is Pyramid of the Pantheon. For 1 mana, you can pay 2 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color and put a brick counter on it. Once you have 3 or more brick counters, you can tap to add 3 mana of any one color. I don't think this card's very good. I don't think we're going to play it. I just don't think it's great. I think it's mediocre at best, and that's fine. It's not terrible, but again, I don't think it's very good. So, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to want it. Oketra's Monument. I think we've already pulled some decent white cards, and some cards that are going to work well within the white mechanic. So I think that this is definitely something that we're not terribly upset to find. It's going to make all our white creature spells 1 generic mana cheaper. And whenever we cast a creature spell, we're going to get a 1/1 white warrior token with vigilance. So if our opponent ever gives us an opening to attack with them, we can. And then on top of it, we can also We can also just keep them back to chump block on defense. Let's see. We've got a second Floodwaters. Like I said, I think that card's good. Unfortunately, I don't know. I think it's too expensive to want 2 in your deck, but that's okay. Jeru's Resolve. That's interesting with Exert because it untaps a creature and lets it block. And then if it's exerted, it wouldn't have tapped, but then you're all set. Okay. All right, the next card. This is a pretty good card as well. Gust Walker. It's a 2/2 for 2, so a bear by itself is fine, but you can exert it to give it +1/+1 in flying. I think this is a really good aggressive card. If you play this on turn 2, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get to hit it for once or twice just by the nature of it being a 2/2 played on turn 2. And then when the board gets gummed up, you're able to just exert it and get in for 3 every other turn, which is a little slower, but something you're probably fine with. And then, like I said, I'm emphasizing the white here because I think we've pulled some good white cards that we're definitely gonna want to play. So we'll stick with that. And so the next one we have is Takrop Elite. This is a 2/2 flyer for 4, which is a little below average. You're not enthused about this, but the fact that you can exert it to give all of your other creatures +1/+1 is very interesting because white definitely has a go wide theme here, and I think we've drawn some of the pieces that let it happen. So I think we're definitely going to be happy to see that and to just give all our dudes a boost, and that's going to make it very powerful. So now we come on to the final pack, and our rare in this pack is Heartpiercer Manticore. Now this card is neat, and it's going to cause a lot of arguments at your pre-release if you haven't pre-released already, because for a total of 4 mana, 2 reds, 2 other mana, it's a 4/3, which is you're okay with that. But when it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature, and when you do, it deals damage equal to that creature's power to target creature or player. The thing is, your opponent can't respond to you sacking the creature. So if you target a creature and they try to do something to protect it, you can decide not to sacrifice the creature, which doesn't really make sense, but I think it's very powerful. But again, I haven't looked that closely, but I don't think our red was that great. So I don't know if we're really going to go there. Could be going down that route. We might. Won't lie there, but we'll see. Let's see. So we've got, and then so now we've opened all our packs, and we are ready to start considering deck. We are ready to start making deck building considerations. So first off, we have our gold cards. We didn't pull too many here, but that's okay. So and then there's also the promo, which was in red green. So we've got that blue. So we've got a blue red, which I don't think is that great of a card. Then these two, like I said, I think our white pool is pretty solid, so we might end up playing one of those depending. Because we do have this 2/2 here. We've got that, which is solid. And then 3. This, and the one thing that really sticks out to me from this is that there isn't a ton of mana sink, so I'm sort of worried if the game stalls out, because I think this is definitely an aggressive draw. Because the issue with limited is that in a lot of cases you generally want to focus on what do you think are the best cards that you pulled. And when I look at my card, I think the best card I pulled by far is this Glyph Keeper. I think if I get the Glyph Keeper, this Glyph Keeper is gonna win me games, and I think I need to play around that. So that definitely makes me want to be blue very strongly, more so than any other individual card that I've pulled. So let's take a look at that. So we've got a good 4-drop. Here you go, Illumination. I think it's not great when you just look at it the way it is, but when you analyze it as either for 4 mana you can draw 2 cards, or you can pay 1 mana and draw a card, I think it gets a lot better, because I think that's a lot of choice, and I definitely value that. So the Zenith Seeker is interesting because it's a 2/2 flyer for 4, but whenever I cycle a card, it gives me a creature I control flying until end of turn. So we'll see. I think that's potential. We just need to see what kind of cycling paths we have. So Naga Cleric, that's interesting. But Floodwaters, like I said, I think that card's good. Compelling Arguments. So for a grand total of 2 mana, you can either make an opponent put the top 5 cards of their library in their graveyard, or you can cycle it for 1. I don't really think you're ever going to want to cast this, so I'm pretty not enthused about playing that. Gale Strike, we've discussed, is good. Like I said, Floodwaters, I don't think I want to. Like, we definitely have a bit of a flying theme in this color, and so let's see how this looks in white. I think because we do have the gold card in Temet. We do have some decent stuff in blue, so let's see if we try to build a deck in white how it looks. So we have the Floodwaters, the Trial is decent, Cartouche is okay, 3-4, 3-4, 4-5, 4-5, 4-2. So now let's because like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that would be about half of our things. I think this is pretty. I think, and also I think we're pretty light in creatures. Let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, we're about half the way we'd want to be on creatures. So I think we can continue with this to see how we feel about this. We've got a lot of 1-drops. Like the cat, I don't think I want more than one of the cats. So we're definitely not. So I think we can rule that one right out. The Caravan is interesting because it comes with friends, which is nice. We've got the Sparring Mummy, which is interesting, although we don't really have a heavy Exert theme, which I think is really where that card shines. Impeccable Timing, not that great of a card. The Gustwalker is good. Yeah, like I don't think this deck has it. It's too slow, unfortunately. So I think we're gonna rule out the white for now, and let's see. Let's try red. I think I saw some things that were okay in red. Because, like, so Pursue Glory, that's a good aggressive card that also cycles. Actually, interesting. So let me see. So we've got actually, let's put blue aside. Let's look at red white. Because I'm seeing some good Exert synergies here. I want to see how this looks if we build it in this way. So we've got the Scavenger, which means we're allowed whenever we exert a creature, we are allowed to rummage if we so choose. Deem worthy. This card I think is fine. So for 4 in a red, you can either deal 7 damage to something, or for 3 in a red, you can either draw a card or and deal 2 damage. So when you cast this for 5, you're basically killing anything in the set. That's pretty great. And if you cycle it, you're getting a new card, and you're doing most stuff. The Cartouche of Zeal is going to be really good in aggressive decks. Blazing Volley, bad. Thresher Lizard, that's gonna, if you're Hellbent, or I guess Heckbent as people are calling it, it turns into a 4-4. A 4-4 with 3, and that you're pretty happy about that. And this deck definitely has ways to discard cards if that's what you want. Like the limit. Also, a fun card to discuss. Limits of Solidarity. So for 3 in a red, you can gain control of a target creature, untap it, and give it haste. Which, it's a threaten effect, is basically what it is. And in a lot of cases, I think threaten effects are overrated in draft. But this one's a little different because of the little text at the bottom, cycling 2, which means you can cycle it. So, because the whole point is that this card has an expiration date. It will be good. It is good up until a certain point, at which point you can't really profitably attack with stuff anymore, so you really don't want to steal one of the creatures. But in this case, you can cycle it, so I think I'm okay with that card in my deck. I don't think it's terrible. We've got a nice Combat Trick and Brute Strength. And most of the time when I play with Combat Tricks, I usually want to get them to the point where I kill a creature and mine survives, but again, I think just the fact that that's going to push through damage, I think is okay. So I'm not torn up about all inside about not getting it. And then also, this is something I missed before, is that if we're in red-white, we do have this card Onward to Victory. So for 2 in a red, the first half Onward gives it +X/+0, so it doubles the power, which with Brute Strength push through a lot of damage. And then the second half for 2 in a white gives a creature double strike. So if you can get a creature through. I mean, unfortunately, I think the double strike half, you're really going to need a way to guarantee, because it's a sorcery, so I have to pop it before combat, then go in. But again, we'll see. So we'll see how that works out. So let's look at our white pool again. See how this stacks up, because like we have that, and I think that's okay. Like if we're running both, I think we're running both of these cartouches, and that's okay. Untap a creature, like I think these Zero's Resolves will do work because we can cycle them away if we don't get them. Okay, so like again, we do have these exert synergies that I think were pretty heavy on the because if we're in white, I do think the Catcher's Monument will be worth it, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21. So I mean that we're close. I don't know. Let me take a look at green. I know I'm not a fan. Let's try blue. I don't really like this either. I'm wondering how blue-red looks. So let's try blue-red. So let's put that there. That gives us another. That gives us 2 more 5-drops, which means, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a big fan because, like I said, I think by far the best card in our deck that we pulled is the Glyph Keeper, and I think we're gonna go back to it, and that I definitely am. I'd rather play our good cards. Is basically what it comes down to. So we'll build from that and go from there, and hopefully this will get us where we need to go. But so there we go. We have this and this. So let's see. I'm with red. Okay, so we have a counterspell which I'm not wild about. Or let's try our good old pal Dimir. We haven't looked a lot about this. So because then that gives us the cycling theme, because we do have with Horror of the Broken, that gives us some more cycle synergies, which is interesting. Oh, that's a creature. 2, 3. This is, I mean, we do have, let's see, where are we at creatures wise in this? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's, we might be being a little too picky. Because we might just not have the pool to play this. Is really what it comes down to. I think this is the start of a good deck, but we just don't have the creatures. We just don't have the stuff. So, I don't know how I feel about that. But let's take a quick look at our green pool, because let's see. Because we've got the Naga Druid, so that's something that's interesting. Spidery Grasp. It gives. That's the sideboard card. Is that's what that is? Because giving it reach is good, but without it, I don't think we have it on that. Because, at that point, we're wondering if we can go full ramp and try to get to the Sandworm Convergence. That, boom. Oh, well. Yeah, our top end, I think, is solid. But again, I don't think we're gonna make it there. So we'll pick these back up. I just don't think we drew the cards. So, I think I'm pretty sold on trying to play our best cards, and I think overall our best cards are in blue. So let's see what we got. Impeccable Timing. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. The cats, they're obnoxious, but I guess if we need to fill space, we have it. The Gust Walker is solid. Cast Out, I think, is going to be good. The Sparring Mummy, I don't know. Well, untap. I guess it gives something pseudo vigilance. So I guess I've convinced myself of that there. 3, and then we have Temet. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 21, 22. Let's see, is there any... I mean, because like, let's see, how much embalm do we have? It's like we have the 1 embalm. We really only have the 2 embalm, so I don't want to play embalmer's tools because we're just not going to get the use out of it. Like, let's it's like with our red, like, I just don't think we have that many. Let's try. Let's go back to the blue-red one last time. Convince me not to do, because otherwise, I'm not sure I'm a fan. So yeah, because we've got the. I mean, I think we're gonna want at least one of the red cartouches. That 4 or 5. That we're definitely gonna want. We're gonna want. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So yeah, we're just struggling to find enough playables at this point, which is really a bummer. So yeah, like, Let's look at green now. So we've got the top end, which is going to be great. Like if we get there, I don't know how we'd ever lose, but I'm not even sure we can get here, which is really where my concern is going to be. Because that's not playable. It's bad. So then I like ugh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, like maybe. Like I think there's a black, like a. Let's look at the like It's like. Okay, interesting. Like at this point, I definitely feel like weird. I almost feel like black blue might be the direction I feel like we have to go, because I think we'll have enough cards that are actually worth playing. Because like we're playing Painful Lesson, which is not great. I'm not a fan. It's basically going to be a bad Painful Truths in our deck, and I guess that's okay. I'm not enthused about playing it, but again, I think because these are all our red cards. Like I don't at this point, I'm wondering if just playing blue green and trying to stall it out going to be what we're going to want, because that's something that we haven't explored. That's some new ground we haven't quite explored. Because like we definitely have some cards that like I feel like both ends. The top end is really good. The question is going to be can we get there, and I'm not 100% convinced that we can. And then there's always because like. So yeah, these are non-play. These are not very good green cards. Like, we do have this green card, the Solace. I wonder how green-white looks. We haven't looked at this yet. Let's see how we feel. So we've got one cartouche. We'll do one of those and a cat. So that gives us some good one-drops. The Vizier, like I said, I'm not sold on. Renewed Faith. If we're not cycling, I don't really like it. 3, 4. Because like we're gonna have some good exert synergy, so I like the Mummy. For sure for this. 7, and then our top ends that gives us a 3-drop. That gives us a 3-drop, a 2-drop. And then for our one weakness, I think we'll be with white flyers. So let's see how this looks. So Like this is going to be a slower deck, but I think we're going to need to hit our land drops, because once we get to 7, I think we're going to have potential. So let's see. This looked closer to what we're hoping to achieve. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we're gonna throw this in because that's a 2-1. Yeah, I think this is the closest we've gotten yet to what I think we want our deck to be. Because now we're back in white, we can toss back in Oketcher's Monument. Because like I said, I think that card, you really only need to cast a couple white creature spells. Or just creature spells in general. So once we get to the creatures, I think we're getting somewhere. 2. That. So where are we at creatures wise? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12. I think it's 12 creatures. So we're getting. I think this is the deck we were supposed to create the whole time, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're at 8 spells. Like this, I think this is going to be an option. The Gift of Paradise, I think, will actually be playable now, because we are trying to get up to 8 mana. I'm not really worried about getting wasted. So we will. Because I don't believe there are any in the set. So let's roll with this. We're pretty, like, our curve is very high, but I think we can live with that. We do have some exert synergies. We have a couple embalm creatures, not a lot, because I think green-white is about exerting your creatures and just getting up there and smashing face. So I think this is the deck we were supposed to play. Like, we don't have a lot of tokens, otherwise splashing blue for Temet would be an option. But like I said, I don't think we're getting it. And then, because we are trying to get up so high, that almost makes Pyramid of the Pantheon the card that I made fun of earlier. It looks like I think we need to bring him back to save us, unfortunately. So we'll see. Let's see where we're at now. Because I think this curve is looking more along the lines of what we're hoping to accomplish here. And I think this might be where we need to stay. So yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22. That makes us. I mean, like I said, I really don't want to. So let's see our breakdown on types now, because we might be another not so great creature we're willing to play versus a not so great spell, but we'll see. Because I think, like I said, I think this is the deck we want to play. Because, like I said, I think the Sandworm Convergence. I mean, I'm a little upset we can't play that Sphinx, but again, I think the worms are going to be that Sandworm Convergence is very powerful if we can get there. And this could go very wrong, but unfortunately at this point I think this is what we need to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we're at 12 creatures. That's too many. So we'll have to take out the Stinging Shot, because we're at 12, so that's low. So I definitely want to see if we can get up to 14 creatures. So yeah, well, the cat will block and buy us some time, hopefully. Okay, okay, because yeah, I'm like, They did print Evolving Wilds, so the question is there a specific creature that we want to play that would enable something that we wouldn't otherwise have? Like, if we run the Evolving Wilds, that would help. Because right now I'm leaning against it because it looks like we are very much wanting to draw as many lands as possible. Like, we're okay with, I guess, flooding out, quote unquote. But so there's our blue. If we toss in the cartouche, that gets us another creature. But again, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2. That gets us to 23. This might be what we need to do. We'll see. Yeah. 5. Gets us to 7. That's a 4. That's a 4. We have a lot of 4-drops in this deck. Like, I'm okay with that, but okay, like, it's like, unfortunately, because my thing is that I think this deck is okay. I think this is bull. I don't know. Like, I thought the red pool was solid. Let me just see how many creatures do we actually have in here. Yeah, I see our red pool is solid. We only had 6 creatures, so I guess it's not great. Where are we at creatures wise in our blue pool? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, again, only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many green creatures are at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, so it looked, and white creatures is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, it does look like under 2 colors. I mean, we really didn't pull the creature density we wanted in this pool anyway. So I think we need to understand we're playing a lower volume of creatures, and so I think I'm gonna try our one last time. We're going back to our original idea, which was the blue-white pool, the one that originally pulled me and thought it was like I said, it had our very best colors. So we'll see. Because like, I'm not gonna play 2. Because like that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like 11, I guess if not great playables, we called solid playables. So I'm not upset about playing those. Yeah, that gives us a 2-drop. That's a little more aggressive of a 2-drop, but hey. Because I guess the monument's going to help. I'm hoping it's going to help bridge the gap. I think is what we're going for here. 5. And then we'll see. So we're at. What are we at creatures wise? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we can get there. I guess we'll play a second Floodwaters because, again, I think being able to cycle it away is very good. And then that gives us more, like... And then I guess at this point we probably would want to be playing Temet. And so now we've got, because that helps us sort out our 2-drop problem too, because we definitely were liable of just getting ran over by an aggressive deck. And then that gives us, because we definitely have some light cycling synergies, we have some light exert synergies that we're willing to play around, but definitely more, I think, on the cycling side, we definitely have what we're looking for. Yeah, so yeah, I think this is very much what we're looking for here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24. Okay, so I think we're getting there. I think this was the deck I was originally pulled towards, and I think for good reason. I do think these are our 2 deepest colors. Now that I've taken a final great look at it all. But now I think we definitely think we're going to want to be at 17 lands. I don't think this deck can really afford to run less than that. So let's see. It's like we've got that. Like, I mean, unfortunately, for me, I look at it. I see the weakest card being the Vizier of Remedies, because we're not putting -1/-1 counters on our own creatures. So I don't really ever see that being beneficial. But that's okay. Let me see. Yeah. I think one of each cartouche is correct. I guess now after I spent so much time poo-pooing about creature numbers, let's see. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, 12 creatures. Like, it doesn't really seem like I can squeak out more than that. So unfortunately, I think it's low. It's very low, but it just looks like that's the way it is. So I think we've got one more impactful cut to make, and it might just have to be the second Floodwaters. I think it's a good card. I think you're definitely going to get your value out of it, but unfortunately, you just can't afford it. Like, yeah. Like, I'm looking through this. There's nothing I really want to eliminate more. So I do think that is going to be what we need to do. So I think that's the deck. We'll roll with it. And then in place of 2 of the lands, I am going to play the 2 Cradle of the Accursed, because that does give us a way to get more creatures. The Luxa Rivershine as an artifact would be an option, but I think it's really slow, really dirtily, and not what this deck. I don't think we're not trying to make that happen. The Embalmer's Tools would be another option, but again, I think it's very slow, and not what we can afford to do. Rather, is perhaps more to the point. Let me see. Do we have a land? These aren't lands. Land box. Oh, all right.
I bought the last one.
Okay, so we're back at our friendly, after a quick visit to our friendly neighborhood land station. So, because yeah, I think we only ever need single white. Yeah, it looks like we don't need double white at any point. So we're definitely going to want to go heavy on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Tap this with that, and then I think that's going to be our deck. So, like I said, I'm not super enthused. I think by far the best card we pulled was the Glyph Keeper, the Sphinx, but we will see what we can do with what we have. I think we have enough tokens where we're not going to be worried about not having anything on the battlefield. But again, we are low on the creature side, and I think that's just kind of the way this set might be. Unless we did want to run a single black for, because like I said, I think this card's good, but unfortunately, I don't think we would have the top end. Yeah, no, we're not doing it because we could run the Evolving Wilds, but again, I think we have too many things that we need to. I think we need to not thin out our deck and do the best with what we have. Like I don't think the card's good. I don't think it's good enough to justify shutting that entire aspect of our deck down. Because I think as soon as you start pulling lands out of your deck with Evolving Wilds, you do end up in a very upset situation where you're just going to struggle to hit that 6th land drop or even that 5th land drop. Because we do in a lot of cases, I think we are going to have to get up to 7 lands to have a chance here.
Why are you stealing? You're just in there eating fish, and I'm like, hold up.
Like, I think the Glyph Keeper is going to be important, and also, being able to I think decking is going to be a real concern with this deck. 'Cause I think it's going to go long. We do have a couple ways to break parity, but once we get past those, I think we could struggle. Because Temet's going to be a thing we can do to give any tokens we might have bouncing around, and hopefully get them to poke. And we do have some exertion to bounce around. Because
in the comments, you're actually the box is talking to you. Say hi to the box.
Hi, box. How you doing? Hopefully,
so you can talk to the box.
Hopefully, your pre-release last night went better than mine today.
Yours hasn't even started yet.
I think my pool's really weak. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's incredibly aggro-based because there's so many good ways to stall it out. I think there's just a bunch of I think they're just not. I think you're gonna struggle to get under it. So I think a lot of decks are gonna. I think the aggro decks are gonna set up. Are gonna get out strong. They'll get their opponents down to 5 or 6 life, and then they can't profit. Yeah, then they can't profitably attack anymore. I don't know. That's just my first inclination just by looking at the set. Because, especially because there are some things, but for example, in red, which seems primarily to be the color of aggro, they really don't have a ton of evasion. They have the exerting creature that gives everything menace. They also have the second creature that can exert to make it so that one creature can't block. But that really only works early on. I think you are going to get to the point where it's just you can't do anything. And that would be something I would be concerned about personally. Well, whether that will materialize and be the case, we'll see. Because like I said, I haven't. Yeah, black definitely has a drain theme, as black is wont to do throughout the history of Magic. I don't know. I just don't. I think there's going to be a lot of payoffs where you just struggle. So at this point, I think we have a deck. I think it's been built. So let's goldfish this a little bit to see how we do. It'd be better if I could shuffle a deck properly. But again, So we'll do a couple waterfall shuffles like so. Get us to a point. Oh no. So there we go. That's a better shuffle. That's more on the line of what we're looking for here. So. Boop, 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 boop. Oh. Okay, so let's see. So 3, 6, 7. So let's see. Let's look at this hand. So I think this is a pretty slow hand, but I think we have enough where I think we have to roll with it. Like we have 3 lands. We have a 2-drop. We can play the monument on turn 3, which I think will be fine. But let's see how this goes. So we would go island turn 1, draw for turn 2. We'll play a plains. We'd play the vizier. That gives us a creature at least. I'm not sold on that creature, but whatever. Tap, draw. We would then play the Cradle of the Accursed, play the monument, and then draw. And then we do this was probably a pretty decent draw, because at this point we would have a couple options. If we wanted to start getting in for damage, we could play the Takrop Elite, exert it, and then we would have the Mummy potentially to untap it and exert it again, because that would be attacking for that would be a total of 6 damage here, especially if depending on how we want to do it, because we would play the Elite, do it that way. Next turn we would draw again, and a potential line would be to cast the Cartouche on this Vizier, which would let us draw another card. And then we could go to combat. We would swing for, he would exert, we'd swing for 6 in the air. We would pass. Next turn he stays tapped, and we had our dudes. So we would make our land drop there, and then before combat we would cast the Sparring Mummy, untap the Takrop Elite, and we would do the same thing again for another 6 damage. I mean, I think that might be kind of what we're going for here. I think that's a pretty aggressive start from us. I'm not sure if we'll see that in Perpetuum for real. And another important thing is going to be to notice is to remember to get the dudes when you cast the creature spells off of the Oketra's Monument if that ends up in play. But I think that's kind of what we would need to be going for here. Whether that's, I think that was a pretty aggressive start. Like we very much could be able to not attack like that against an aggressive red deck and aggressive black deck. I think they could come out of the gates too fast, and we would be losing that race hardcore, and that's fair because a 3/2 flyer is not really going to trade very well. So, but again, I think that's just the way it is. So let's see. 6, 7 for this hand. So we've got. So we have 4 lands. We do have some things like. We're definitely going to be looking. We pulled some of our cycle synergies here. But again, we would have turn 1 cat, which is good. Something that's fine. We would play island. And we wouldn't have a turn 2 play here, although we would have 2 of our Heckma Sentinels, which is pretty fine. It's a 2/3 for 3 with upside, which is not exactly what we're looking for, but again, live with it. Because yeah, we would get 1 of our Heckma Sentinels. We didn't draw any of our cycling, which is unfortunate. But then this turn would be interesting would be to potentially turn 1 of the Sentinels into a beat stick, because we have the Cartouche that would make that a 3/4, and then the Monument. So I guess I wasn't very sold on this deck before, but I think at this point, I think after playing this out a little bit, I think this deck has legs. I think there are going to be things it can do. I think we can survive, and I do think, like I said, I think that Glyph Keeper is going to be very powerful and very hard to remove for a lot of decks. So, but again, I think there isn't a whole lot to say at this point other than we still have a lot of games to play, and we will have to see how they go.
All right, so stay tuned. In between matches, Matt's going to come over and give a rundown of how they went and kind of showcase how he changes his deck, if at all.
Yeah.